Kelly. On the humanitarian issue, I just want to say that a few weeks ago there was a feed on Facebook saying that the ACT government had decided to approve funding to the Canberra Islamic Centre, and I was overwhelmed with excitement because a year prior to that I had to raise a flag and say, don't tell me now the ACT government is targeting Islamic schools. And the question that I would like you to address is, we're here today, we're talking about the now, but what are we doing about the generational progression, say the next generation and the generation after that? Having visited the school myself, I was very proud of the work that the teachers are doing and the intelligence of the students, and they are our priority because they are Australians and they are our best example. So I'd love to hear from you if that generation is foreseen as important to the government.
Yeah, it is the most important generation, really, isn't it? Because they are our future, and they're still developing. Their attitudes and their experiences shape them so much. You take a child in a playground, how often do they not see colour and all the rest of it? And then they get that, from the home front and the rest of it. And just going back to that question, it's ignorance and fear that's at the heart of this thing. It's like, when I try and explain to people, well, it's not actually you Christians that are the primary victims of Islamist extremism. It's actually Muslims who are by far and away the major victims of extremism. So they've got as much an interest in fighting this battle, and more so than you do. So it's about education and getting those stories across at an early age. Those digestible stories about diversity and celebrating it, and having kids understand that humanity comes in so many different forms. So that's really where it all starts. That's where we want to focus our attention to, and I've mentioned that community engagement strategy with Anne Arley. That would be a major focus for us.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Now, I'm afraid that was the last question because we really have to close down. I'd just like to round off with a couple of things. Bryce, one of the things you mentioned resonated with me because I have here a teaching from one of the Jewish sages who said that those who are able to appreciate the jewels and wisdom of their own faith are then best placed to appreciate the precious stones and wisdom of others. There's another lovely quote I wanted to explain also the actual the head covering I'm wearing is from northwest India. It's from a group known as the Bnei Manasseh, the children of Manasseh, one of the lost tribes of Israel. One of the things you may not be aware, I was pleased to visit the Gangalan Mosque on its open day. One of the things you may not, and by the way, Jewish law and Sharia are extremely close. Extremely close. It's so close that in fact the only other house of worship that I as a Jew am allowed to pray in is a mosque. And that's the truth. Now, a lovely statement. Each faith is a candle. None is diminished by the light of others. And together, they can help banish some of the darkness in the human heart. And that darkness, one of the questioners referred to, the Abrahamic monotheisms, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, have all had violent periods in their history. In the long run, these experiences have turned out to be disastrous. They begin by fighting the other, quote unquote, but they end up by fighting people of their own faith, Jew against Jew, Christian against Christian, Muslim against Muslim. And in contrast to the Huntington theory of clash between civilizations, there is a more commonly accepted view that the clash which occurs is within civilizations, not between. And one of the remarkable historians I heard lecture here in Canberra 2 years ago, and his book is called The Undivided Past. And I would recommend that to everyone because it shows the links between Western civilization and Islam. And we can try and work for an undivided future. So when serious believers, at first only a few, but an important few, come to the conclusion that violence cannot be what God really wants from us, they know that every life is like a universe, the teaching to save one life is as if to save the world is also a Jewish teaching as well as an Islamic teaching. They know that every life is like a universe, that the murder of the innocent is a sin as well as a crime, and that terror in the name of God is a desecration of the name of God. The great faiths consecrate and honour the name of God when they honour human dignity, when they practice justice and compassion, when they lead people to feed the hungry and help the homeless and teach their children to love, not hate. Those who respect others are respected, while those who practice violence eventually perish through violence. So thank you very much for your questions and attention. I'll hand over to Imran, who I believe is giving a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Harry. What a productive evening.